Member?
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, it's recording and it's live right now.
We are calling this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, to Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. My name is Rosa Diaz. I am the chair of this committee. The meeting is called to order at 6:36 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Kelly Nixon, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few firm rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. Community board members, if you have any questions about board business, or if you wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon and you will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in the back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic of the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Khalid, roll call, thank you so much.
Okay, committee members, seven members on this committee, 4 needed for quorum. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough, absent. Samantha Cordero, absent. Debbie Quinones, absent. Russell Schuler,
Present.
thank you. Michelle Wilshire Clement,
Present.
thank you. Yeah, quorum.
Yay, awesome, awesome, thank you. We are moving with the agenda, great news. Okay, so the adoption of the agenda, tonight's agenda was distributed ahead of time by the board's office. It was posted online. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you will raise your hand. Okay, it's adopted, thank you so much. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there's any objection, please raise your hand. Okay, great, minutes adopted, seeing no hand, everything is great. And now we're going to announcements. We will be, tabling the Juneteenth in Seneca celebration, literally on Thursday, June 19th, from 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is going to be at Central Park. Thank you, Khalid. Central Park, West 85th Street. Everyone is welcome. Community Board 11, we are going to table, so whoever wants to table with moi, please come. We're gonna have fun time engaging with community members and maybe some dancing. And next announcement, oh yes. We're gonna have, the New York City heat map updates is available, great.
Right, so you can take a look at it. I provided the link in the email. Just
Yeah,
read through it. If you have any recommendations, send it over so we could relay that to our friends.
yeah, thank you so much. Also, free festival for kiddos, June 13th, Marcus Garvey Park, which is tomorrow. June 14th, Morningside Avenue in West 113th Street. June 15th, Jackie Robinson Park. This is happening from 3 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. Bring your children. I know the information was sent out via email. Look at the newsletter from the Community Board 11. And anyone has any updates? Okay, so we are going to informational updates. Do we have anyone from the Department of Parks and Recreation?
Go ahead, David. You're muted.
You got me? Can you see me?
Go ahead.
All right. I guess I will go first. I don't see some of my colleagues from Parks. So real quick update for Randall's Island. First I did want to, acknowledge and mention, I'm sure everybody heard about the awful assault that happened on Randall's Island a couple weeks ago. It's been really, really awful, really challenging. I didn't want to say we're working with NYPD, obviously, to kind of look at what can be done in that area to make it improve on the safety. It was really just an awful, awful incident. So, I don't personally have much on that. I'm not, it's really a PD question in terms of what's going on with it, but I did want to, start by mentioning that. My thoughts have been with the woman who still seems to be doing better. That's just really quickly on that. And a little bit more better news that I did want to kind of give a couple updates for the summer coming up. I know Michelle specifically asked about a few of our major events from that would be coming up. First thing, this Saturday, there's a movie night, Wicked, at the park near the Urban Farm. We have a second movie night on August 9th for Elemental. So anyone looking to come out for a movie night, starting when sundown. So this one, I think it's roughly around 9 o'clock when the movie will be starting. And then just a couple of events to know about, free community events that we're hosting. One is the Waterfront Festival on July 19th down on Wards Island. Taste of the Farm, which is at the Urban Farm on August 16th. These are all Saturdays. And then the Harvest Festival on September 28th. All of those down on Wards Island by the farm. Aside from that, we are kind of wrapping up the track and field season at the stadium. We have USATF, United States Track and Field Youth Nationals, June 23rd to 28th. So if anybody wants to come out and watch some of the best high school kids in the country compete, it's a really great time. It's a really, really wonderful track and field event, and that is June 23rd to 28th at the stadium. And that's about really all I have. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Happy to answer anything.
Anyone? Michelle, you have a question?
Not a question, comment.
Yep.
I wanted to say that I was able to come to the Big Trucks Day, I think it was called.
Oh yeah, Truck Day, yeah.
That was really, really great, and the kids happy. And I might actually wearing the shirt for Punk Island.
Oh, good.
Really nice little Camara thing that my kid bought for me.
Oh,
While
great.
being there, even though it rained, naughty, but it was very, it was peaceful. A lot of people were joyful. People were running around, and with hundreds of people that were there of all ages, and it was a really great event. Thank you.
That is, Punk Island is a very, very cool. It's part of Make Music New York, and it's a free punk. It's these young kids. They come out. They're all DIY. They have their little stage setups, and they're just really, really. I agree. It's like a very loving, happy event, and it's really, really cool. And we've done for a few years now. And they're great. They're just great to work with, and I'm glad you were able to see it. It's a nice little event.
I just wanted to say thank you.
That's awesome. Is that the pink background by any chance?
I'm sorry.
Do you have the big pink background?
The
Oh,
background.
you know what? It's kind of moved a little bit. It's like you can kind of see the desk right there. You see it a little bit? It's my wife's desk. Yeah, her dresser.
Right, from, I was able to join the gala with our vice chair, and it was wonderful. Thank you so much for the invite.
It was wonderful to see you. Yep. It was a
Yeah,
very nice
but-
evening.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Anyone has any question?
Irma Sanchez online has a question. Irma, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, well, this is not a question. I wasn't sure when to announce this, but I'm a member of a community garden in the area. It's Rodeo Pleasant Park Community Garden. And I'm hosting an event, or our garden is hosting an event on herbs, on homeopathy, on June 28th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Rodale or Rosedale? What did you say? I'm sorry.
Rodeo, it's
Community
Rodale.
garden.
It's Rodeo Pleasant Park.
Okay.
And it's on across the street from Thomas Jefferson Park.
Right, and the event, please, the date, and sorry, please go, say it again for me, please. I'm trying to write it into the minutes.
Okay, it's on June 28th. So that's a Saturday, and it's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Pika Trinkle, she's the teacher, will be leading an homeopathy herb class workshop.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're now moving on. Anyone else from Parks?
Tapashi gave us that report. I'll just read it really quickly.
Oh, sure, thank you.
Hold on 1 second. Well, I think probably get that.
My computer is not. Yeah, Michelle is going to announce something in the meeting.
I'm sorry, I really don't want to read this. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll just go over real quick. This is just what we got from Tapashi, who normally shows up for the Marcus Garvey Park. Marcus Garvey, they have a trashing show coming up on June 12th from 6 to 7:30.
It's happening right now.
Oh, wow. Well, it's happening right now. NYC Kids Fest, June 13th, 3 to 8 p.m. Harlem Library Kickoff to Summer, 10:30 a.m., 12 p.m. On what day?
Open day on
Okay. Juneteenth celebration, June 19th, National Jazz Museum in Harlem from 4 to 7 p.m. Jackie Robinson Park, NYC Kids Fest, June 15th, 2 to 6 p.m. And Jazz in the Park from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Morningside, second Saturday Jazz at Morningside on June 14th, July 12th, August 9th, September 13th at 5 p.m. Juneteenth on June 19th, Friends of Morningside Park present African drums and dancing from 7 to 8 p.m. St. Nicholas, fourth Friday Jazz on June 27th, July 25th, August 22nd at 6 to 7:30 p.m. on James Baldwin Lawn. For Juneteenth on Saturday, June 21st, Good Vibes in the Park with Black Bonus. And movie screening on August 2nd, James Baldwin Celebration. She gave us flyers, they'll be on our website, community calendar, if you have any questions for that, okay?
Thank you, Khalid. I announced some of them, also the Kids Fest, also I have it here, and then you guys also send it out via email. Okay,
Do anybody have a question for Khalid?
no,
Write it
you
down.
did an excellent job and everyone is
okay.
clear.
Just write it down and I'll send it to Tapashi.
Don't have anyone for the Department of Sanitation? Okay, moving on. Department of Environmental Protection? Great. Okay, anyone from Parks Advocacy Groups?
David Solano just tell me we did for Reynolds Island Park. Nope, no one else is raising their hands.
And community-based organizations, I know there was.
Nope, nobody.
Socially, okay. Yes, Nisha?
I just wanted to speak for one, I don't know where they fit underneath that. New York City Grove had a international walkthrough of the community gardens. And they were going around from the East Community Garden and talking with our community gardens. In East Harlem, they were having a walkthrough of the community gardens, and they were going, most of the people weren't from actually in East Harlem, they were coming to East Harlem to observe water, electricity, how are things done in East Harlem. And I thought that was a beautiful way to communicate with people from outside of our nation, people from inside of our nation, on what happens with us. And they were all excited. And I thought that was a really great exposure for East Harlem.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm a member of Rodeo Garden. And so I led the group, and Cynthia, who's a community engagement representative from Parks Department, led that group, and I realized that the people in the group were not New Yorkers, but actually one person was from Washington DC, one person from the Midwest, but by and large, it was a very enlightening event. In fact, the theme for all garden rodeo was the history of rodeo gardening, which goes way, way back decades ago. So it was very interesting to me. I did the research and then shared that booklet with not just Parks Department, but members of all garden. So a lot of the members came back to me and said, Hazel, I didn't know who the Rodale family was. They didn't know why it was on that spot. Those were lots about where the city wanted to auction them off and put out affordable housing. So it was an eye opener for not just the community, but those people coming in as visitors. So I was really pleased to be part of that experience.
Thank you for representing.
Thank you for representing Rodeo.
I can share it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very nice.
Yes.
Everyone must have gone home with a little piece of East Harlem and the history there.
Absolutely, because
I love that.
yeah, I was gonna say East Harlem also used to be one of the little Italies, and then some actually tonight, there's a gathering across the street from where I live. Every Thursday night, the Italian group gathers there. So there was a lot of history to be shared. The Mexican families who gardened there, mostly women gardened there. And I'm talking about first-hand experience, because I live right next door to Rodale. And in the morning when I wake up to the birds and I'm sipping my coffee, I'm looking into the garden. So there's a role that Mexican mothers and the families played, and we're very proud of them.
I love that. Thank you for coming. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes.
And
So-
I think we should have more community gardens, join us and let us know, because we don't know everything. I mean, I don't know everything, right? And I would love to learn more.
Yes.
So
So I'll
that's
share,
one thing that we should also communicate with Cynthia from
Yes.
Freetown, that we want to connect with the community gardens and actually have them present. So everyone is aware where they are, the dates and times, and like the history behind of that specific name. Sometimes
Yes.
we name our
Yes.
community gardens in a specific, name, and it has a history behind it.
I was just gonna say also, the Rodale patriarch, he was a pioneer of organic agriculture, organic growing, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. I wanna also move I would like to have a little, on the side, because I wanna move
We also have an
Yeah.
agenda item, renovation of Rodale, so of course,
Yeah.
feel free to discuss
Yeah.
that at that point.
Yes.
We have a Matt Nave who has their hand raised, maybe would you like to recognize them?
Oh, yeah, I know, yes,
Matt,
Matt,
okay.
absolutely.
Matt, feel free.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a bad connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think what we're here to do, and I'm sorry I missed the earlier part, is to talk about the piece of art that's being recreated as part of our capital improvement project, which is happening from October through roughly, I think, the end of March of this year and in the following year. We were asked to speak on behalf of this artwork being preserved and recreated as a centerpiece of the garden. Essentially, the membership, has gone through the process of redesigning the garden and voting about what it is we wish to keep, expand, and so forth. The mosaic has represented a really seminal and important part of the garden in terms of recognizing its history, and it was voted on by membership to recreate that. And NYRP has suggested, and the membership has voted on, moving that to the center of the garden to make it our sort of artistic centerpiece. And also recreating its original design, which was created by founding members, families, children, and I guess what we're here to speak about is to just get your support for that and to get a letter of support, which indicates that you support the recreation of this historic artifact.
If I may interrupt, by any chance, did you request a letter of support?
It's Gary Dearborn who's going to
Did
be
I
presenting.
personally? Gary Dearborn encouraged us to request it as members.
So, Matt, Gary Dearborn here, and community board members, I very much apologize for being so late. I had technical problems joining. I very much apologize for that. And Matt, thank you for kicking this off and starting and covering for me.
Can you, 1 second, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we have a presentation before you guys, so I will call you out when it's your time. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you also, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are going with the presentation, public notice incomings from the Amtrak Hellgate Viaduct Pier Rehab Project. Yeah.
Hellgate by the Peer Rehab Project with John West and colleagues. John, are you available and ready to present for us?
Yeah. Apologies, I cannot see.
Yeah, John's on. How you doing, guys? Thanks for giving us the time to present today. I'm George Bear. I'm the project manager for this project with Amtrak. Along with me, we have John West, who's the environmental lead. We have Frank Potato, who's on the PM team. Ajin Fatima, who's our structural lead. On design side, Matt Chalupa is on the B&B Bridges and Buildings engineer. So yeah, this is a team. Basically, this project is a substructure rehabilitation of the Hellgate Viaduct. This is 114 piers in total for project, but we'll be focusing on the Manhattan impacts of this for this presentation. So I'll hand it over to, also we have HNTB on the call, who's the consultant for this project. They'll be running through the slides really quickly. Again, I know we have limited time. And any questions after that, please direct it to Amtrak, and we'll do our best to answer that. And also, we'll present our email for any follow-up questions at the end of the presentation.
Excellent, thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks, George. Today, we're going to give you an overview of the project, as well as the specific scope of work for Randall's Island Park, our anticipated repair schedule, our proposed construction access and staging, the proposed maintenance and protection of traffic plan, our developed mitigation measures, and as well as our Section 4F analysis. Project overview. The Hellgate Viaduct Pier Substructure Rehabilitation Project will provide structural repairs and maintenance of the Hellgate Viaduct, which is a 2-mile section between 29th Street in Queens and 132nd Street in the Bronx. The Hellgate Viaduct includes 114 supporting piers and a number of viaducts and structures that are listed here on the slide. The project work will focus on structural repairs and maintenance of these piers with no ground disturbance or superstructure work. The purpose and need. The need for this project is really to address the deterioration of the Hellgate Viaduct substructure and the 2 large piers that support the Hellgate Bridge over the East River. The purpose of the project is to repair the Hellgate Viaduct substructure and improve the reliability, the resiliency, and the safety of the railroad operations. The picture here on this slide shows an example of the deterioration of the piers. This picture is from Pier 20 with fractured and spalled coping. The map shows the project limits, which include the portion of the Hellgate Viaduct that run from Pier 17 in Queens, across the East River, through Randall's Island, over the Bronx Kill, and terminating at Pier 4 in the Bronx. So the scope of work. This project includes activities including sounding of the concrete, coping, crack, and spall repairs, and these will be done at 6 to 8 piers at a time. The work will be performed using temporary elevated platforms and or man lifts with no ground disturbance. Cracks that are larger than 1/16 of an inch will be epoxy ejected, And in the case of spalls or rebuilds, Amtrak is going to remove loose concrete to sound concrete. They're going to add reinforcement bars and wire mesh as necessary and install formwork to restore the structure and remove forms once that concrete is cured in place. And full repairs will be made to restore the original shape of the substructure and to match the existing color of the concrete. The anticipated repair schedule. This repair work would be conducted in segments, as I mentioned, 6 to 8 piers at a time. The project is anticipated to be completed in 2.5 years. However, the repairs within each segment would be completed in under 6 months. Amtrak is currently coordinating with New York City Parks on construction scheduling to minimize park impacts to park users and recreational facilities, including the proposed work schedule parameters as shown on the table on this slide. So the construction access and staging. Amtrak has an easement for the parks underneath the piers and is currently coordinating with New York City Parks for construction access in Randall's Island Park. Amtrak is proposing 2 temporary construction staging areas to store equipment and construction materials. One is in parking lot F, as shown on the left, and the other is near soccer field number 60, shown on the right. Amtrak will maintain public access to walkways, bicycle paths, and adjacent recreational amenities in these areas. And Amtrak is also coordinating with New York City Parks regarding any other active projects near this project corridor. The Maintenance and Protection of Traffic Plan, otherwise known as the MPT. Amtrak has developed a 2-phase MPT plan for the bicycle and pedestrian path in this corridor, otherwise known as the Hellgate Pathway. So during repairs, Amtrak will close 1 bicycle lane at a time for approximately 1,000 feet to allow the public access and use of the walkways, bicycle paths, and adjacent amenities. Amtrak assumes that 2 pier locations would require full closure, which would be conducted at night to minimize interruptions to access. Construction mats would be used in laydown areas, and all equipment and materials would be removed after repair work is completed. Temporary bus stop relocation. So 1 bus stop, the main roadway tennis center 2 stop near Pier 37 may require temporary relocation from the temporary closure of the bus lane. The proposed bus stop relocation would be near Pier 35 at the other end of the existing sidewalk. The pedestrian access from this bicycle and pedestrian path to the stop runs along Pier 36 and would be maintained at all times. Amtrak would complete these repairs at Pier 36 at night when the bus route is not in service to minimize interruptions. And Amtrak is coordinating with New York City DOT and MTA on these repairs. We are also developing mitigation and minimization measures to the natural resources on Randall's Island. Amtrak has developed a number of mitigation and minimization measures to protect the natural resources. They are currently coordinating with New York City Parks to avoid vegetation impacts, including tree removals to the maximum extent possible. A proposed tree removal is shown to the right of the screen. As you can see, this tree is growing along Pier 31 and would be in direct conflict with repairs. Trees not proposed for removal will be protected and preserved. Temporary wooden tree guards with wrap will be used for individual trees, and tree protection fence will be used for groves of trees. Matting will be used as needed to protect the tree critical root zones and wetlands during construction. Tree protection methods will be in compliance with New York City Park standard details, and a tree work permit is being obtained. So Amtrak will restore any disturbed areas to their original condition, and should any damages occur to landscaped areas, sidewalks, or park pathways. Additional mitigation and coordination that's being conducted. Amtrak will install shielding to the temporary elevated platforms to ensure safety and prevent debris from falling below. Contractor parking of personal vehicles and spaces designated for park users will be prohibited. And access to the Wards Island treatment plant and the New York City FDNY facility would also be maintained, and coordination with both New York City DEP and FDNY is being coordinated. So this project is subject to Section 4F. Section 4F is of the U.S. Department of Transportation Act of 1966, and it applies to projects that receive federal funding or require approval of a U.S. DOT agency. It requires coordination of park and recreational lands, wildlife and waterfowl refuges, and historic sites during transportation project development. So Amtrak and FRA are coordinating with New York City Parks, who is the official with jurisdiction on the Section 4F to maintain public access to Randall's Island Park, allowing for continued use and enjoyment and maintain public safety and recreational facilities. So on May 15th of 2025, Amtrak and the FRA informed New York City Parks of the intent to make a de minimis impact determination on Randall's Island Park. So a determination of de minimis impact on parks, recreational areas, and wildlife and waterfowl refuge may be made when all three of these criteria are satisfied. The transportation use does not adversely affect the Section 4 resource, that the public has been afforded the opportunity to review and comment on the effects of the project on the Section 4F resource, and the official with jurisdiction are informed of the U.S. DOT's intent to make the de minimis impact determination. So Amtrak and the FRA are seeking New York City Parks concurrence that this project will not adversely affect the activities, features, and attributes of Randall's Island. Part of the Section 4F process is a public comment period. Amtrak is holding a 15-day review period for public review and comment. Amtrak is asking any comments be emailed to George Hoops at amtrak.com, the email on the screen here, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
If anyone wants, I have 4 questions.
No problem.
I'm gonna ask them all and then you can choose which one. How many trees are going to be removed? You showed one. And how many, and what types of trees? I think
I'm not
that's
sure, but
important.
I'm not sure about the types of trees, but it's approximately 60 trees. And that's still being reviewed with parks, so it's not determined if finalized, but the proposed number is 60.
That's very high. That's a lot of trees.
It is.
And there was a mention of there at nighttime that both sides of the running path would be closed.
No, only one lane.
There was one lane that was closed at one point, and then I remember that there was at a certain time of night, but it wasn't said at what time of night. Because there are people that come and run, even though it's not the safest.
Yes, so between Pier 35 and 36, there will be full closures, which is unavoidable. But yeah, that will be at night to minimize interruptions. Again, we don't have that finalized as to what time at night, but we will work with parks and whoever else, external stakeholders to figure that out.
Okay, there's just a lot of people that do run at night, and there is you had mentioned that there's some, besides the 2 parking spaces, there were going to be other designated parking spaces that would not be viable for other people to park in. Since parking is very limited and there are a lot of people that come with stuff to picnic with and whatnot, is it going to be a lot of parking spaces used for this project by Amtrak?
No, it should be like 2 or 3. In that area that you see on the top right of the parking lot F, that is currently being used for material storage and different trucks. So it shouldn't impact the public parking itself. So the length of it is like 2, 3, but that's not being used currently as public parking.
Okay. And this was just more so in confusion with the bus stop move. We're going to be moved to another area. Is that an elimination of a bus stop or?
No, we just have to move it down past the crosswalk. So it's a couple feet down.
Right, I understand it's temporary, but it was just. Okay, and then the last question, I know this is one more.
No problem.
The project is between April and November.
Well,
Is there a reason why it's starting in April, or that's not finalized as yet?
yeah, that's not finalized at all. Again, the determination of when this project will start will be dependent on when we finish final design, when we get a contractor on board. So there's a lot of different factors, and once you go through the construction plan to actually finalize the staging areas and what equipment is being used and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is a draft preliminary schedule, but yeah, it's not finalized in stone.
Well, really, to clarify, this isn't when construction may or may not occur. These are basically time of year restrictions. So if it's, in the spring, we would work weekdays before, not later than 2 p.m. And if it's in the winter, then it's regular 9 to 5 hours. This should be viewed as time of year restrictions rather than an actual project schedule.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
So are you finished?
I know you have a lot to do.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Malik, for Michelle?
No. I don't have any.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation. You provided your email for everyone to submit any comments. We'll also send it out to the public to double check if they have any comments.
I do have a quick question. When is this supposed to start, you said?
I mean, I give us timeline. It should be, the earliest it will be is October of 2026. No. Yeah, 2026. Yeah. That's the earliest.
Now presenting comment feedback from the public. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, one more.
Oh, before you go.
It's just a question.
I'm sorry.
Have you, because a lot of schools are on Randall's Island, has this gone out to the schools or so that they would know to shorten some or move over some of their projects?
I haven't, yeah, so John, I'm not sure if you've, in your conversations with parks, we've reached out to the local schools on that, but I don't think so.
This is Dave. I might be able to help with that one, Michelle. That their time frame of work was actually a specific request of ours because the 2 p.m. work time means they stop working before the kids come out to play in the park. So we did the seasonal that way so that they're not working when after school starts. That's why you have the winter, it's a little later. The grass fields are closed anyway along the piers. So you don't have the interference with kids coming out. But the 2 o'clock stop during the season is specifically to accommodate all the kids.
I'm clapping, thank you.
Thank you, baby. Can I just piggyback? Some of our children from different schools in District 4 go there for like tennis, and that's early.
The tennis shouldn't be, that just shouldn't impact the tennis. Like there might be a little bit when they're working in front of the driveway. This is really just, they're very much under the Hellgate. So like with some like adjacent areas. So it's really just, it's only a couple of fields they're even really near, like field 20 and 21, and then down by the 60s are the ones we're like, the most concerned about that having an impact on. So, we're working with them. The Amtrak's been good. They've been very responsive to anything. And So I just wanted to clarify that they're being conscientious of like the schools, and we'll continue to work with them to make sure that no access for anyone getting out there is impeded as much as possible.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
And we're
I just
also
want to
going to share it out. Yeah, we're also going to share it out. Yes.
just clarify one last thing. The public comment period, we're actually intending it to start like now for the next 2 weeks, and that's just to inform the Section 4F de minimis determination that we're drafting with Parks and the Federal Railroad Administration. That's just to inform that piece of the environmental regulation. So I would encourage you to file any comments you may have, in the next couple of weeks. That being said, it's going to be a long kind of design dragged out process a little bit. So there will be other opportunities to get some input, after that. It's not really a hard stop. It's just about this 4F determination right now in the immediate future. And then otherwise, I just want to clarify, this is for informational purposes only. We're not seeking any board action of any kind at this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. We're moving with the agenda to pre-peak season presentation. For that, we have community engagement borough.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne. I'm from Manhattan Division 513. Okay.
Your last name?
Delesio. Lessio.
Thank you.
Joanne has a hyphen and a capital A, just in case.
Hyphen it's after, got it, okay.
Okay. What we're going to talk about today is how to keep the community safe in extreme heat. That's very important because in New York City, we're getting longer and hotter days. And a lot of people get affected by that, especially seniors, people with heart conditions, people with mental illnesses.
Sorry, do you need me to?
No, this is before.
Okay, go ahead.
People with mental illnesses and people especially without air conditions. Air conditions is a very touchy little subject because even though some people do have air conditions, they don't use them. Okay, I know that sounds strange, but that's exactly what happens. No, I can read it. Heat, 500 plus deaths happen every year because of heat-related. Most of these heat-related deaths are not from outside service, like people who are outside in the street. These are happening inside the houses because what people don't understand is that during a heat wave, you have 3 consecutive days of 90-degree weather. If it's 90 degrees outside, your house is 10 degrees hotter. Anything that's 90 degrees or hotter in your house, what happens is that it's dangerous for the person that's in there without an air condition or without a fan, and you have to keep it cooler. Dangerous temperature for your house is 90 degrees, so if we have a 95-degree day, it's 105 could be in your house, and if you live on the top floor, it may be warmer because you have the roof on top of you. So there's a major problem, okay? And that's very crucial because it could affect different people at different times, okay? 70, they say put it on 78 degrees with air condition, but at most of the time, if you keep it at 78 degrees, you have to keep it on all day. And what happens is some people can't afford the electric bill. So that becomes a major issue right away. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so who's at risk? People with heart conditions. They can't breathe. They have a problem with their heart, there's problems breathing. People with mental illnesses. Now, a person with a mental illness makes it very difficult for someone to determine whether or not they're hot or not. and they don't know how to cool themselves. If you have diabetes, your diabetes could affect you on how do you regulate your body temperature. So there's a major problem there. Plus, most people don't use air conditioners. And they'll go out and they'll say, oh, I'm fine. And people don't realize that you're at a risk point. Children, police officers, construction workers. These are all people who work outside your parks department. These are all people who work outside who could be affected by the heat also, okay? Okay, how to stay safe in your house. They do say use air conditioning. If you don't live in housing or in a place where they actually pay your electric or it's part of your rent, some people just can't afford to pay for the electric bill. And most seniors, and I know some who have enough air conditioning sitting in their window, won't use it because they can't afford the electric bill. Even though they would get heat or some kind of assistance, it's still not enough for them to pay it. Because most of them are low income, their income is low. They'll have to have a choice of either eating or staying cool, and a lot of them choose not to use the air conditioner. Okay? Remember, your indoor heat is 10 degrees hotter, and during a heat wave, which people don't know or don't think about it, is once it's consistently hot in your house for 3 or more days, it could take 3 to more days to cool off your house after the heat wave goes. So if the heat wave is from Sunday to Wednesday, you have until the following Sunday or Monday of the next week for your house to basically cool off. So there could be a major problem because people don't realize that it's hot. Well, I'm fine, I'll be okay. Some of the major, in order to find out like what the symptoms are to heat, you could be very hot, you could be sweaty, or you could be very dry. You could have cold and clammy skin. You have weakness, dizziness, you have nausea, you also could have vomiting, trouble breathing, confusion, hallucination, and disorientation. If you meet anyone with those symptoms, call 911 and let them decide how severe this is because they may have to be hospitalized. Also, if you're already thirsty, you're already dehydrated, so you have an issue. Okay, so you really need to have water in you. If you're going to, safety in your house, one, I know this is gonna sound weird, but if you're working and you don't work at home, close the windows in your house, put the shades down, put your curtains in, and leave for the day. That'll keep the temperature from not coming in, and your temperature in your house will stay stable. If you have an air conditioner that you could time it a half hour before you come home, and it'll be easier and cooler, and then you could adjust. If you don't have an air conditioner, adjust your fans in a strategic way that you could cool off the house, and try to keep your windows closed until later at night when it gets cooler. The hottest period of time is between 3 and 6 at night. A lot of us think it starts at 12, but it doesn't. The hottest point, because remember, we have all the asphalt, we have the buildings, and this is all stuff that draws heat and keeps the heat. And this is why our houses are 10 degrees hotter, okay? Stay hydrated, which is very important, because even if you're not thirsty, drink water, because like I said, the minute that you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. You need help, okay? And try to stay cool. Try to take cool showers if you're staying at home, especially if you don't have an air conditioner. Wear light clothes during the summer. Try to have them a little looser because it'll be more comfortable. just have to try this, wear light colored clothes because the screen shirt doesn't help, especially if we're standing outside and do a thing. And avoid strenuous work, which is very difficult for people who work outside, like our parks department people, the construction workers, people like that really don't have an alternative to this. So you have to try to keep yourself cool. If you live Okay, one of the things is for power outages, and this is something a lot of people don't or seem to forget. If you have a life support system, you have to register it with Con Edison, because if the lights go out or if there's a shortage, your life depends on it. And they have to know so they could supply you with service. One way or another, they'll have to do something. Also, if you have any disability, whether it's a hearing disability, sight disability, walking disability, your management has to know that you are disabled. Because when emergency management or the police department or fire department has to evacuate these people, they're the first ones to be evacuated. So management has to know so they could give us a list or marking on the door or the hallway of where these people are. Because these are the people who are gonna take the longest and we need to get them out. Also have a backup power if you need, you can get a portable air conditioner that's battery operated, something that'll cool you, they have the new neck ones too that kind of keep you cool. And again, stay notified. There are plenty of places where you could get information, 311 is one of them, Notify New York is another. Okay, if you don't have an air conditioner, like I said, put your fans in strategic places. Go to places where there are cooling centers. If you're a senior, the problem is that most senior centers on the first day of the heat wave don't know until 3:30, 4 o'clock, and most of the seniors are gone already. So communication has to be a little better, but they don't normally keep it in that range because they don't know until a certain hour that they're. And most important too is if you do find somebody with a symptom and they tell you not to call 311, call 311 because you don't know if they're going home to a place without air conditioning, which could worsen their condition. Okay, so it's really very, very important. Okay, so you could get a free air condition, again, if you fit the qualifications. And that's just a simple money level, certain amount of money that you need. You could get HEAP, be part of the HEAP program to get some kind of help with your electric bill, but it's not significant enough. 311 would always tell you where you could get a senior center or a cooling place. If at all possible, what you could do is during the day, if you don't have air conditions and you're a senior or if you're home, or you're not working, you have children during the summer, because children are also susceptible to this heat, you could take them to different places that have air conditioning. And the way you could find out is through 311. Most of the things is find NYC Gov cooling centers. 311 could help you with other places that you could go. And other places you could do, they could also help you with heat, they could also help you with the air conditioners. Now, like I said, most seniors do not use their air conditioners if they have to pay for the electricity. So that runs into a problem, and that's why we have over 500 deaths in New York City. And part of our problem is because we have so much concrete and asphalt, it absorbs the heat. And when they absorb the heat, we don't have enough trees that line our streets to actually keep it cooler. The trees do help us, greenery does help us, and the 60 trees that they destroyed on the island just made that island hotter for the summer. So, that's it. Any question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
And we have a question, Malik, you got it?
Yes, thank you, Joanne, for the presentation. I just had a quick question. One, it was, you said 500 deaths. Is that to date or is that every year? Like what is that?
Every year,
So every year.
annually, there's roughly about 500 deaths that die for heat-related illnesses.
Illnesses.
But remember, a person who has a mental disease, and you have to add Alzheimer's, dementia that's in there also. They don't realize that they're too hot, and they don't know how to cool themselves down. And another thing too is if you do see somebody who has a heat-related thing, don't automatically take them from the hot place into a cold area. You're shocking the body. So you have to gradually cool them down until they could go someplace where it's really cool. Because their body is not, would be in shock. It's just like if a person if during the winter they're cold and you're trying to warm them up, they tell you rub their hands, that's the worst thing to do. You just have to gradually keep them warm and put warm compresses on their hands until
I got you.
till your blood starts circulating. So just put it at the points where your blood is going, like your neck, top of your head, wrist, elbows, back of the knees. The blood will circulate. If there's cold compresses there, and they'll gradually just cool down.
I didn't know about that rubbing hands. I'm usually.
No, that's the worst because what you're causing the extremities that could really turn blue and be worse. You're just supposed to just very slowly.
Learning every day. This is why we keep on learning.
That's
Is
why.
that 500, do you have the exact number for East Harlem or?
For what?
For East, the death?
No, that I don't, but I know East Harlem, we did a campaign where we sent out information. And we're one of the hottest areas in the city. The area that we have, which is Central and East Harlem, our temperature is very, very high during the summer. And like I said, we have a lot of asphalt, a lot of building, very limited trees.
And they want to take out 60 trees.
We have, Michelle has a question.
I just want you to say what heat is,
I'm
because
sorry?
there are many people that might be listening that don't know what heat is.
HEAP is to help people.
No, but
What it means.
What the acronym
Oh,
means.
I'm not sure of
Home
either.
energy assistance.
Home energy
Assistance program.
Home
Energy assistance program.
assistant program. Okay.
Beautiful. And the other thing I wanted to know is there a specific label that people can get to put on their door to say, come to get me first?
They're supposed to figure out something to put on the door, like even if it's a red strip. Say you have someone in your family that has, let's say your grandmother, you live with your grandmother, but your grandmother has a hearing problem. Or she has a seeing problem, she has a disability, we need to get her out. I mean, we helped with the TAF projects, they had a water main break a few years ago. There were people on life support. They're not supposed to be in there, and we have to make sure that they have water, because they don't have none of the water, and they cannot go downstairs and lift a pail to bring up to have water. So we have to know who these people are, so we could deliver stuff to them. Now, if we don't know, how am I gonna help them?
So you said to put like a red.
They could put a red strip, they should have a list, and a lot of people don't realize that if they have the support, they don't realize they have to let Con Edison know. Because if there is a blackout, their life support, if they're gonna die, they need a backup, they need something. Con Edison has to do something right away to get them help. And if there's a fire or there's a gas leak or there's something that we have to go in there and get them out, it's gonna take us longer to get them out. And if I need elevators for this, I have to make sure that I get them out before they decide to close the elevators. Because maybe we can walk down the steps, but these people can't. So we need to know this so we can do a quick recovery and in and out real quick. So there should be something in each management office with anyone who has a disability, and whatever the disability is. I mean, you could have a child with autism, somebody, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when it comes to like children with disabilities,
Yeah.
and also children with asthma,
Right.
I have both.
Well, asthma is important, especially now during the heat, because heat could trigger their asthma. The allergy season now could trigger their asthma.
So I definitely know and can definitely relate for the past 18 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much for your
welcome.
presentation. I've learned, I feel like I've learned a lot.
Well, you guys have a copy of this, and I gave him a copy of this. This was originally done by us, but they don't do it anymore, so I kept it.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're moving on with renovation of Rodale Community Garden. Gary, the floor.
Thank you. Hello, Community Board 11, Parks and Environmental Committee, Open Space. Thank you for having me. I'd like to thank Mr. Nixon for adding our project to the agenda at the last minute. And I apologize, I missed email on getting on the agenda. So thank you for seeing us. I'll be brief. This is a joint project between the New York Restoration Project and the Parks Department. If I could, I'd like to share a screen to walk you through the design, if that's okay.
You should be able to. Go ahead, Gary.
Let's see if we can do that.
I have to say this information.
Can everyone see that?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. So let me just back up one slide. This is a project I've been working on our organization for a few years now. It's funded from a combination of City Council. At the time, it was Speaker Viverito. Now Diana Ayala would take credit for it, Councilmatic funding. That comes through the Economic Development Corporation. And then my organization, the New York Restoration Project, raised some matching private funds. The total budget is $660,000. You all know Rodale Community Garden, mid-block between, on the south, East 114th Street, the north, East 115th Street, closer to Pleasant Avenue, just opposite Thomas Jefferson Park. What I'd like to do is walk you through the design a little bit. Matt spoke a bit about that earlier, and I'm here tonight to ask you for, not just to ask you for a letter of support, but to inform you about the project. It's a good project. We are before the Public Design Commission, and of course, input from the community board and support is a prerequisite. So let me just walk through this. Goals of the project is to rebuild a 30-plus-year-old community garden. We want to respect the original materials and layout, but we want to implement some focused upgrades. And we've done that through a participatory design process with gardeners that use the site. And the key goal is to expand the opportunity to garden, grow food, and provide more program space. Just some context maps of where we are located. Really right on line with the entrance to Thomas Jefferson Park. It's a through block garden, which is great. There's entrances on 114th and 115th, which is fantastic. This is a diagram to show the current conditions. It's rotated. North is to the left. 114th Street, which most people enter on, is to the left. Excuse me. The north is to the right. 115th Street is to the right. As you enter the space, it has some nice landscaping and it's kind of shady and sheltered. You come into a central patio area where there is a nice Norway maple tree and a decorative mosaic pavement in the center of that patio area. There's a shade structure and storage shed. There's barbecue grills. There's a couple seat walls. There's a composting toilet. All the great ingredients for a community garden. As you move further to the north, there's a series of gardening beds arrayed along a central path. The path takes a slight jog to the east and then exits out to 115th Street. These are just some photographs of the existing site. I apologize, these were in the winter. It looks like there's nothing growing here, which is not the case. This is a vibrant, well-used and heavily vegetated and productive garden. Some diagrams. Probably the most important one I'd like to direct your attention to is the one furthest on the left. Half the property is owned by the city and is held by the New York City Parks Department, the Green Thumb Community Garden Program. The other half of the property is owned by the New York Restoration Project. We acquired that about 25 years ago when the Giuliani administration at the time was putting up a series of community garden lots around the city for sale. And we teamed up with another not-for-profit and acquired those. New York Restoration Project manages and maintains the entire property, though. So we provide a continuity of service, and we work very closely and have a good relationship with the Parks Department Green Thumb program. We went through an extensive participatory design process, which means that we meet with gardeners on site, talk about the existing garden, what they like about it, what it's working, what doesn't seem to be working, what kind of improvements they'd like to have made, and to really get to know people. That's our kind of first and foremost. And these are just some images from that process. We started April last year and continued through the year, meeting for about every month, sometimes more activity than others, and then culminated in November with a final design that gardeners reviewed and helped shape and voted on. We had great participation. This is I've worked on a lot of community garden renovations, and I have to say that this group is pretty unique in terms of how diverse they are, how invested they are in the garden, and well, they're just a great group. We did our workshops in English, Spanish, and Cantonese, so we have a really diverse population here. What came out of that was a proposed design that's very similar to the existing. So this is not a full sale, wipe the slate clean and start new. This is build on what's been working and the design and the garden that's there now. Main entrance will still be off 114th Street. We'll still have a central patio that'll be bounded by some rustic stone walls to reference the existing. There'll be a shade structure and shed. We're going to propose to relocate the composting toilet from the Parks Department property to the NYRP property, and that's mostly for management reasons. We're going to have a lot more space for growing vegetables and food, a lot more garden beds. There's a long waiting list of people that want to garden in this space. The decorative mosaic, the kind of commemorative mosaic, we're looking at recreating and relocating. That's kind of like a project in and of itself. Through the design a little bit. This is more detailed. This is the final site plan. You can see the entrance on 114th Street. We'll have a lot of open space for programming, movable picnic tables, benches, main patio. We're going to preserve that existing Norway maple that creates such a great shade over the space. As you move into the garden, the growing area, we're going to have a series of raised gardening beds, a total of 31, where there are currently, I think, 18 right now. And they'll be of uniform size and shape. such that they can be more easily apportioned out to different gardeners. So everybody gets the same allotment, which will make it more democratic and easier to manage. The red line on this site plan indicates the demarcation between, to the left, city parkland, to the right, New York Restoration Project. For all intents and purposes, you'll never know that when you walk on the site. It's just a management boundary. As you move into the space, we're proposing a seasonal greenhouse called a hoop house to extend the growing season, help gardeners start vegetable starts earlier in the season and then extend their season with crops into the late fall. We've got a series of alternating raised bed patterns. As we move to the north, we'll have a proposed location for a new mosaic pavement. And as you continue to move north towards 115th Street, we move the entrance into this. You kind of had to do a jog in the path from 115th Street, and it affected sight lines. And we heard from folks that, you know, we're comfortable opening up both sides of the garden, but please with the new design, improve the sight lines so we feel safer and so that we can see who's coming in and out. So that we have a new location on 115th Street on Center, so you can see down the main axes of the garden, the main spine. In that northern area, we'll have the composting toilet, which is a restroom, which is a full-service restroom, which is great, ADA accessible, and another storage shed, and probably an arbor or a trellis to kind of mark that entrance. Another big improvement with this city-funded project is to bring in a dedicated water service. Right now, there's just a rainwater barrel that's collected from a roof leader. So what we'll be doing is tapping and getting approval for an engineered water system where we tap into the city street and put a water main, bring a below-ground pipe in, put in a water meter and a backflow preventer, which is required by health code. And then from there, service out with irrigation for the garden beds. So that's going to really help people, grow more food. In our work with the Parks Department, we worked pretty closely with them on coming up with an accessible plan so that we have accessible routes. So if you're in a wheelchair or if you're ambulatory, temporarily disabled, you can move around the space. We integrated some ADA accessible planters, so they're wheelchair and ambulatory accessible heights, and with open space. You come in with a wheelchair for your knees. That's a little bit unique, and we're very excited to be integrating that into this design. So that's what this plan is showing, is those routes. And to talk about the materials a little bit. Entering into 14th Street, we were proposing a stamped concrete, something that's a little more rustic and welcoming than just a concrete sidewalk. As you move into the main patio, we would propose permeable unit pavers, where currently it's just stone dust right now, so it's more accessible and it's more durable. On the paths, we would propose what's called a porous pavement, which is basically a stabilized aggregate pavement. Again, totally porous so that the rainwater percolates down into the ground below. And then in terms of some of the furnishings, rectangular movable picnic table, round movable picnic table, a wall mounted bench, some freestanding benches, the raised garden beds. This is over on the right-hand side, a photo of those. And we're looking at a two-sided ADA wheelchair accessible garden bed. And looking at the structures a little bit, we're going to have a shade structure, which is like an open canopy structure to get you out of the rain and out of the sun. Some photographs of similar shade structures that we've designed and built on NYRP gardens on other projects. The proposal for Rodale is to the upper part of this page where it's kind of arcing and segmented. So it's designed to complement and kind of mirror that circular central patio. Here's just an image of the greenhouse hoop house, which is, it's not a heated structure. It has steel piping with a greenhouse fabric plastic to cover it. The sides of it can be lifted up for ventilation. It's serviced by doors on either end. It's about 12 feet wide, 8 feet high. And what you can do is, create growing space within there, and even provide irrigation. And then the existing mosaic pavement, these are some photographs of the existing. Right now, that's in that patio area, which we're seeing to the left. What we're proposing to do, at least at this point, is to recreate that mosaic in a more central location. It would be dead center in the garden on the New York Restoration Project side. Now, that might change over time. This is a community-driven piece of artwork. And we're in discussion with them, and I'll report back on what the final proposal for that is. Garden functions regardless of how and where this decorative this piece is established. And that essentially is the project. We hope to be in construction. They're fully funded. Thank God. It's taken a long time. We hope to be in construction this fall, November, after the close of the gardening season at the end of October, and to reopen in April of 2026. As I said before, the Public Design Commission right now, a letter of support would be fantastic from the community board. But mostly I wanted to share this with you and answer any questions you may have. I'll stop the share, and thank you for your time.
Anyone have any question? Yes, Connie.
I have one question for Hazel. Do you like it?
Except for one thing, and Gary is very aware of it. I've shared and have been very open about it. And that is the relocation of the composting toilet further to what I would call the front of the garden, closer to 115th Street, because I live right there in that building and I've been there since 1998. And I don't agree with the relocation. Whatever the reason is, I'm not quite sure.
Right.
That I don't have exact information on that. But the relocation of the composting toilet to the front of the garden,
May not be so appealing.
no.
Do you have any answer for that?
So Hazel and I are partners in this project. She's been a big supporter. I wish I was there in person. It's much easier to have this conversation. So we are discussing that. There's ways we can make that structure greener. There's the potential to flip it so that it is a little further away from the neighboring building. There's knock-on effects with that where there could be some trees that would have to come out. It would function either way. So I do want to circle back to the larger group about this particular topic, and I'm happy to report back to the community board. Our review with the Public Design Commission is preliminary at this point, so that affords us the opportunity to make some important shifts in the design, specifically to what Hazel's bringing up.
So the reason why I presented that question to Hazel really was to determine if the gardeners are happy with the plan. And if,
Well, this is the thing. They don't live there. Some of them live far away. 70th Street, 21st Street, whatever. The other thing I think about is that I've been a member of the garden before NYRP restored the garden, when it was just rocks in an abandoned lot. And so I have visions of Bette Midler, who was the pioneer for all these abandoned lots and restoration of abandoned lots and saving lots from auction by the city. And I could, she had an event there, the last event with caviar and classical music. And my God, at the front, I just, I don't know.
I do want to answer your question though. Do gardeners support the project? They do. We had a unanimous vote of support for this site plan at our November 10th meeting.
Okay, well, so, you know, from my point of view as a community board member and a advocate for public space, not just in East Harlem, but throughout the city, you know, I'm always gonna defer to the people who use the garden regularly, the people who live in the community, the neighbors of the garden. So that's why I proposed the question. I just wanna make sure that,
You're clear.
yeah, that, you know, that it's, you know, it looks like a nice design to me, but I don't use the garden and I live quite a distance from that garden, so I'm gonna defer to Hazel and Hazel's and the other gardeners who, you know, who are using the space.
Right, so, is there any deadline for, the letter of support by any chance?
Well, you know how the PDC, you know, they're reviewing it now. If next, I know that the board is, you know, this is your last meeting before your summer break. So if it's possible to produce a letter before you close down for the summer, that would be great. However, knowing that we've been able to share it with you, you know, I don't want to put a deadline on that. I don't like the way PDC operates that way. This is,
I understand.
if you can, we would certainly appreciate it.
Right, I just wanted to acknowledge Hazel, and I will definitely, if anyone also can join, visit Rodale. I've been there, but I will also go. We have all been there.
We've been.
On a different day, not with you guys too, but yes, we have also been there, but we'll go and check it out.
I appreciate it. Gary has been communicating with me, but, the mosaic.
Right,
Yes.
we'll have a compromise
And the toilet, I just don't, because I live there and sip my coffee in the morning and look out at the garden and listen to the birds. And that for me, that bathroom could have whatever they wanna put in, trees and pictures and paintings, it's still
Except the
going to
oils.
be. Yeah, and the current one doesn't smell. You know, I'm not saying that it's gonna smell, but.
We got you.
Yeah.
Misha? That was a huge thing for me, because if that is an actual entrance, I thought maybe that's gonna be closed, the 115th Street side, but it's actually open, and then I said, well, is it possible that the compost comfort area, or we're actually saying bathrooms now, the compost bathroom is that supposed to be available to people just to come off the street, go to the bathroom, and then go back out? Is that the reason for it? And could it handle that amount? Or is it, I mean, what was the reasoning of putting it right by what is now going to be a formal entrance? Or is that gonna be closed off most of the time and just 116th Street? I mean, 114th Street, and that be the main entrance, and everything else is closed off.
So good questions. It's a little bit of both. The composting toilet is for garden users, garden members, so it's not intended for the general public, first of all. However, it does have the capacity to handle it. They're quite robust. The reason that it's being relocated from the Parks Department properties, they just do not allow it on their property. And when it was installed 20 years ago, we didn't ask their permission. Our bad. So we created a use that, you know, for 20 years has worked. But they don't allow it on their property. Also, there are other interests and groups and program activities in the garden. There's a very robust program committee that schedules a lot of programming that wants more space. So there's that too. Now, so relocating it to towards the 115th Street side, I think what Hazel's getting at is a deficiency in our design work, in the sense that we haven't convinced her, we haven't made a compelling case as to why this is not only going to work better, but it's also going to be extremely beautiful. So Hazel, I differ with you that this is just a toilet. This is going to be a beautiful piece of architecture. And so I would like to recommend that the community board support with conditions, which I'm perfectly happy to work with, that we circle back and work on this issue, this topic, with more detail and come back to you.
Right, we have two hands raised. Do you wanna?
No, I wanted to hear from.
Okay, Nicholas and then Matt. Yes, Nicholas and then Matt. Please keep it straight to the subject.
Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, no, I also live on 115th Street. It's a major thoroughfare for children throughout the day. You have two high schools going through that block. You've got an elementary school on that block. So you've got kids walking back and forth, all day, on that side of the street. And my concern is the same as my neighbors. We're gonna have a toilet on our basically facing the street, and it could be beautiful, but the main concern is it gonna smell, and am I gonna have to smell human waste throughout the day, kind of thing, and are people walking by gonna have to smell that? It's a composting toilet, and maybe it can handle X number of people, but you want to increase the amount of people in your garden space, and you want to increase those users. Is it going to be able to compost that amount of human waste, in the right amount of time, or are you going to have to be throwing it out? Perhaps you centrally locate it towards the west portion of the site, because next door there's an empty lot. So, just a thought, but yeah, I just wanted to express my concern as well. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Matt? You can
I think you're
unmute.
muted, Matt.
Still muted, Matt. Nope, still muted.
Are you able on the board to unmute him?
I can only ask him to unmute. I can't make him unmute.
Matt, yeah, you're muted.
You can type it in the chat, if anything, Matt, and then we can read it out for you. Man said he's not a panelist, but he is.
Yeah, it must be a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're able to see you if you're a panelist, which you are.
Just type it in the chat first, Matt, and we'll just read it out for you.
So while he's doing that, like I said, I'm happy to work more closely and drill down on this topic with garden members to come to a resolution, come to a design that everyone supports.
Can I ask a question while we wait for that?
Yes.
Yes. And then Irma Sanchez raised it.
Oh, go ahead, go Irma.
Who? I cannot see.
Irma Sanchez.
Irma Sanchez, I'm sorry, like the light is.
It's really tiny.
Irma, go ahead. Hold on a second. Irma, should we be able to
Hello,
speak?
yes, I can hear you. Hi. Okay, so first of all, I really, really love this design. The only thing that I'm not in love with is the bathroom. I also have, and the reason is because when I look at this design, normally last year we hosted 9 free community garden events. This year we're on the 4th event. Actually, I think it's the 5th one. There's another one this weekend. So normally when you have an area like a sitting area, and in this plan, it's going to be on the 114th Street side, there's usually the bathroom. That's normally the way it is. But with this design, as I'm looking at it, the activity area is going to be on the 114th Street side. That's where we're going to be hosting community garden events. But the bathroom is going to be on the 115th Street side. So that means people are going to have to walk, from the event area down the pathway to the bathroom. And I understand that what Gary just explained, that Green Thumb, I believe, does not want it on their property. But I just really wanted to raise that point, that even from just an event perspective, that it's inconvenient to have guests walk down the pathway to use the bathroom. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Matt should be able to speak now, I think. Matt?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. I just could not find the unmute. I just wanted to make the community board aware that this was a multi-month process and that everything that Gary has shown you was voted on in a very democratic fashion by the garden members themselves. They approved the specificity of what he has shown you and are in full awareness of the placement of the composting toilet. I also wanted to make a comment regarding compost toilets in themselves. They are not porta potties. They are not unclean or smelly. This is something that is relatively high tech compared to what you would see in a normal community garden regarding a porta potty. The idea of smell is a non-issue. Our current compost toilet, which is ancient, by the way, and this will be technically much more efficient and much more updated, does not in any respect and never has smelled. So I'm not sure how this meeting turned into a discussion of this specific issue, but this was a thoroughly democratic process, and the garden membership as a whole has a complete understanding of it.
Thank you. We have one question by Connie.
I'm gonna make a suggestion with this discussion about the toilet. There was, in this presentation, there's no picture or rendering of what this toilet looks like. I think that needs to be included in the presentation, not just for us, but probably for the Public Design Commission as well. One other comment, and that is about your mosaic artwork, which I understand at this point is not yet designed, or you have no plan. Am I correct that you have no plan for what that design is going to look like?
I can speak on that.
Please.
The membership made a very conscious choice during the summer-long, multi-month meetings that we had to recreate the original design. There was a commitment to holding on to a historic artifact and something that is representative of a time and place where people reclaimed public land for public use. It is news to me that since it was discussed frequently, that the original design is not what is being recreated.
Okay, so that's exactly why I'm asking the question. I just want you guys to be clear with your presentations about, particular items. Like you showed us examples of the pavers and concrete and stuff like that, and that really is very, very helpful. Not knowing all the members of this community garden, but I do know how passionate people are about their public art installations. I personally have facilitated over 50 public art installations, so that's another thing I would like to see, a more definitive idea or description of what might be happening there, just to make sure that all the members of the community garden are going to be happy with what is produced and how it's being produced. And I'm sure the Public Design Commission will also want to know, is an artist being brought in? Is a subcontractor being brought in? Are gardeners actually putting their hands on it and applying the mosaics themselves? I'm just asking for more detail on that.
So, two really good points that I'd like to just quickly respond to on. Yes, the composting toilet design and its whole architectural assembly, its siding, the detailing, it needs more work and it needs to be portrayed. That's why we're only at preliminary. Everything that Matt said, I second and agree with. These are very sophisticated pieces of equipment. They're not smelly. There is no direct access onto 115th Street to get to the toilet. It's around the corner of it. You have to walk into the garden and walk around the building to come into the to get into the toilet. Herman's right, though. It is not as centrally located. Reason why, it's the central location where it's the best sun, is the best place to grow vegetables. So there's always trade-offs. Now, if we flip the composting toilet further to the west, further away from the building abutting it, that's doable, but there's trade-offs there too. There's 2 or 3 trees we'll be cutting down, which I'm completely prepared to do as long as the garden membership is too. So Matt's right. This was fully reviewed through a democratic process, but there are only specific nuances, right, that require a little bit more deeper dive. And the composting toilet is one of them. So as I said before, our organization is more than willing to focus in on that element to make sure everyone's comfortable with what's being proposed and to circle back to the community board. As it pertains to the mosaic, it's of a similar kind of character. We have the opportunity to recreate it. Parks Department wants it off their property, no uncertain terms. They do not want a new mosaic on their property, no uncertain terms. This is not a public art project. This is a community built project. In fact, PDC has no authority to opine on private property. So their review is focused on the public property, the Parks Department. That said, we want to do what's right for the community and for the garden membership. So again, we're going to circle back and get into more detail on that. The comments from the board are right on target, and I agree with completely. And we commit to coming back to you with an update on that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question, Gary. If we decide to support this request for letter of support for this preliminary design submission, will you include us in the phase number 2, right? Like, because I'm hearing also concerns, and if you said that it's doable to move the toilet somewhere else, why hasn't that been done? You know what I mean? Like, can that be done, or you will have to go back to membership and vote on it again?
Well, I'd like to go back to specific parts of the garden membership that have raised a concern and that have an interest in this on these 2 different topics, the composting toilet and the art piece, the mosaic. And so I would very much welcome and support if the community board would write a letter of support conditioned on those 2 topics that we, the applicant, come back and report back to you. If that's amenable to you, that would, something that we would very much support.
Right, okay. One last. Go ahead. I know Pedro wants to add something. I just wanted to ask to make sure that the individuals that actually live in the area, because I think Hazel had mentioned that there were people that were strewn around, but the people that live in the area have the higher say of where the bathrooms are located if they are on 115th Street. I think I would like to hear their voice as opposed to someone that's 20 blocks away.
10 seconds. There are some members at Rodale Garden who belong to other gardens. The mosaic was created by kids, and my son's image, if you look at the mosaic closely, my son who is African American, his image is in the mosaic. So, and I live right next door and I've been there since 1998. So I am invested in it. I've contributed to the garden for 2.5 decades or more. And when you talk about most of the members voting on the decision, for half of the season or half of the year, I was on West Coast providing support to my daughter who was a TV reporter and had a health condition and asked me to come there and support her. So I wasn't present when they were voting. I came back in November, and I think Matt knows that, and I think Gary knows that.
Okay,
So I'm done.
Thank you, no, thank you, that means a lot, thank you.
No, and I do appreciate it, like, because this is what I'm talking about, history, like preserving history. Are we, does anyone want to make, motion with obviously conditions for this letter of support that we want to provide? If yes, someone raise your hand and make the motion, if not.
I just wanna ask another question beforehand.
No,
Are any, are any other parts of the design are most of the people happy with the design except for those 2 items?
Yes, and I would add very quickly, I am the only person probably who is concerned about the location of the bathroom.
no, you're not.
No, there are other
People there.
There were 2
people. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
At least 3.
Right. So, yeah, but the majority, they live in another garden.
Got it.
Right, that makes sense.
I just wanna make a statement before you do that. Gary,
Yes.
I believe everybody believes that this is a beautiful project that you're
Right.
presenting, even the ones that's giving you a hard time that's in here, that you cannot. I obviously you understand the problem that she has and that, some other members have. And my last thing is, if you don't know, this for me is very rough, only because I hate to like vote on something when we first learn about something, right? And we created a block, I don't know the correct words that come out right now, but we created a structure where we don't automatically vote on things right away. Now, it's given us that's why no one is, came out right and say, oh, let's vote on it right now, because we normally wait another month. Now, being that said, we come in at the end of our session, and it's like doing this, bringing this on to us now we feel somewhat, I wanna say pressured, but obligated to do for even both, because we like what we see, but we do know that there's some things and conditions that need to be implemented. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I also wanna put that on record for anyone else who's trying to come in here in June to do something in the future, because there's gonna be another June in 2026 that comes up that somebody's gonna wanna present and want to get support. So I'm just bringing that on record for all of us so that we know, like, let's try to push it for May or for September.
No letter of support in June. Yes.
Rosa, this is my question to you. Can we just acknowledge this presentation and that we're expecting a second presentation before their final presentation to the Public Design Commission?
I think that would be fine. I certainly appreciate your perspective. You never want to be pressured to have to vote on something that you're not fully comfortable with. So, just the fact that you've seen it, and that you've acknowledged that it's going to come back again, PDC, that's all they're going to get. You can't give them more than what you're comfortable giving. So, I get it. And I appreciate your time you're spending on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Are we able to change their letter of support for a letter of acknowledgement, which is?
A letter of acknowledgement just means that, yes, this
They
person
acknowledge.
presented before us, and that's it. That's all the
Yeah.
letter of acknowledgement is from us.
And Gary, you will be okay with the letter?
Oh,
By
absolutely.
letter of acknowledgement, you presented feedback from us. You okay? Yeah. Okay, so you're making a motion to provide.
Provide a letter of acknowledgement.
Sure, something happened.
That's all it
Can
needs
I
to be.
make a comment? Can I
One
make a comment?
second. 1 second.
Wait, is the comment related to the letter of acknowledgement, Matt?
Well, if it's a lesser than a letter of support, yes.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Okay, I want to make, I just want to make it very, very clear, if it's not been already through the presentation, that the notion that this process was rushed or people felt pressured to approve does not match the actual reality of the process itself. In fact, this process was so long and so intensive and so involved that this project was supposed to have taken place this last winter. We were supposed to be finished with it. Because we were so deliberative as a group, and because we discussed so thoroughly and made sure that all the decisions we were making were voted on in a complete fashion, this project was pushed forward another year. So just for clarity, the notion that this idea was rushed or that there is an unsure membership aspect to this process does not match the actual facts of what happened.
I could
Thank
just
you, Matt.
add to that, or maybe just to clarify a little bit. Matt's correct. It was a very long deliberative process, but Matt, I think the board is articulating that MRP as the applicant has not come to the board prior to
Yes.
just now, and that's the concern that they're raising, not that the garden membership was rushed. Is that, for example, if I had planned ahead more, I could have gone to the community board back in April and brought them up to speed. So.
Sorry, Gary, 1 second. Rosa, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Please let me chair the meeting. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I just want to keep Matt,
I see the passion, but let me just have members here of the board that want to comment on what Matt stated.
Yeah, Matt, this is not directed at you or Gary. This is just directed at our process, right? It doesn't matter who comes in here. This is our regular process that we wait to the next meeting in order to, understand what's going on, and then we give our deliberations, we vote on whatever is on the table. So it has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with the presentation. I just really want you to understand this is our process for everyone.
Yeah,
right, I understand that. I was simply clarifying that the process within the membership of the garden.
Matt,
you gotta let me chair the meeting, okay? I will call you out. Just give me a minute. We have another question by our member.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that with this acknowledgement letter, that it does not qualify the entire project. I want to make sure that we state within the letter that there are some things that we have concerns with.
No, a letter of acknowledgement is just that.
It's just a letter that
Yes, it just says that we have received this project, received the presentation of this project. That's all a letter of acknowledgement is. It's not speaking to the details of the project unless you're gonna write a letter of support or a letter of concern or anything of that nature.
I wanted to make sure on that, and I also wanted to find out the person who is very verbal, do they actually live near the park?
Which person are you referring to?
Matt, do you live near? Where do you live?
I live on 119th, but I just want to make absolutely clear that there is no issue of smell in a compost toilet. It is far more, it is not a crude thing.
Thank you,
Right,
guys,
Matt.
thank you, we understand, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so we have, Connie made a motion to
A
change
letter of acknowledgement.
from a letter of support to a letter of acknowledgement. Do we have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Michelle. Everyone in agreement?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay. No opposed, no abstain. Okay, thank you so much. You will receive a letter of acknowledgement as soon as it's, we have full board, next Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday comes up.
Tuesday coming
Oh my
up.
gosh.
As soon as you can would be great.
And then it'll be, if it's ratified, then we'll provide it after.
Right, on Tuesday, we, the full board will vote on our letter of, acknowledgement, and then you will receive the letter
Thank you.
next
Thank
week.
you. Thank you all for your time. I very much appreciate it, and looking forward to meeting with you again. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Gary, thank you so much, Matt, nice to see you again, and thank you, Hazel, for
Thank
coming
you all
in
for your
person.
support.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Where do we at?
it has been a journey, and the word rush.
Don't you
Yeah.
worry about it, I
Don't you
actually,
worry.
we have all business,
And we will come.
continue
Yeah.
with the agenda. Nicholas, the floor is yours.
Nicholas, you're muted, if you'd like to speak on the new city council letter first, please.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You're muted now again. You keep muting, Nicholas.
Sorry about that. So we sent you guys our updated letter about a week or so ago.
Yes, she went over quickly. Yes.
1 second, hold on.
Yes, May 27th, right? It says May 27th on it?
Sorry, I gotta share it.
all right.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. And so we tried to incorporate all of the changes that you guys had asked for. And you know, if you'd like, I can read it out to you, but you know, you do have a copy of it, and we're hoping that it's reflective of what you wanted us to include in the letter. And the only change, if you can scroll to the top, I believe there is, boom, right there. So the only change that I would ask you, you know, if you're okay with voting in support for this letter, since we've presented it to you and have talked about this for many months now, I would just ask if you, you know, support this with the condition of deleting working draft at the top.
Good idea.
That's it.
Nicholas, come on now. Come on.
That's it. That's it. That's all I got. Because I noticed that and I was like, I do not want to get this approved, and it's titled working draft.
We
That
understand.
would be terrible.
Yes, so do we have a motion to,
Yes, I have a motion to support,
the working draft?
Civitas.
let me.
The new
Thank you
civitas.
very much.
I have a motion to support new Civitas letter to the mayor's office requesting funds to address East River Esplanade project gap from 107 to 117th Street.
Well done.
I second. Everyone in agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone
All right.
object? Anyone abstain? Okay, it passes, thank you so much. Yes, it has been a long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Nicholas, and new business.
And Matt,
I have one more question. I was just wondering if you guys are including this in your budget, upcoming budget, and in your district needs. I don't know.
We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
We'll vote on it.
Okay.
we're currently working on it.
Okay.
And also, this will be discussed in, full board on Tuesday too.
Okay. Do you want me to, schedule a follow-up with you guys, like when you come back from your recess?
If you want to, of course,
Just
if you
to,
want to.
just to chat?
September.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
be happy to. All right, I'll come by
So
next time.
I'll say this, Nick, during
Yeah.
that time, it's budgeting season, so we start the process, especially with,
September.
in September with
Okay.
the statement of district needs. So
Okay.
I will come back and follow up with that and possibly at the district needs. But
Okay.
you can possibly just come to this committee
Yeah,
and we'll report it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
September 4th.
okay. And I think by that time, we may have a letter to the governor as well. So, I can come back with that as well. We gotta go after everybody. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Now we're going to move to new business. Malik, did you have a question?
I do have a question, not on that, but just a little bit of a new business, like one statement.
Okay, yes.
I found out that by Cicely Tyson Way, there's a community garden that's being threatened to become a dog park. And I just want us to take a look at that during the summertime if we can investigate.
Yeah.
Because
Send
to
them
change,
information.
Where is where?
Cicely Tyson Way,
I know, where is it at? I can't remember.
that's why I say the.
Okay, let's just go to the new business and we can talk on the time about that. Malik?
As y'all know, we, this is our second time possibly, doing park tours. I sent out a schedule to when we can actually go into these parks. I did not set a time as of yet, just because I'm conscious to, whenever you guys would like to go. Just for me personally, it's better for me to do it early than middle in the day. Two things, one, because I'd rather go when it's a little cool out and not as hot. Two, I work in the evenings and I needed to leave around 1 o'clock. So that's the only reasons why. So,
Morning's better for me too.
yeah,
Were you thinking 8 a.m., 6 a.m.?
no, definitely not. I'm a more 10, between 10 and 11. I'd rather that. 10:30 is fine.
I agree with Michelle, 11, but what do you think, Connie?
10, 11, I lean towards closer to 10 so we have more time.
Instead of rushing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say 10:30 to be
Let's split
me
the
in the middle.
difference, 10:30.
I'll catch up later, not 11.
That's fine.
Okay, 10:30 to be.
Whatever time we kind of finish, but sometimes, honestly, in the beginning, I guess the two weekends, it tends to go a lot slower, only because the ground that we have to cover. I think after that, because from my memory, some of the stuff is so close that we don't have to worry about, and we can do a later time. But from my memory, I think it's only 6 weeks that we actually wind up meeting. And out of those 6 times, I want to say 2 of those times, especially in the beginning, we kind of walk a little further just because we're trying to, have to do the correct route.
Should we put it in a nice flyer with the dates and times so everyone is able to join if they want to?
We could, but the only difference is we would need a flyer for tomorrow because I think the first one is this weekend.
What?
Yes,
I can
but
work on that.
we
Do
can,
you want?
The first one is this weekend?
yeah, supposed to be. But we can change it to the following weekend and do it 2 weekends back to back, just so that we,
Yeah.
so it could be the 21st.
We're protesting this weekend.
Yeah, so it could be the 21st and the 28th, and then we can, after the 28th, we can do the every other weekend. cause I wanted to skip like 4th of July, stuff like that.
That makes sense.
And then I think the last one is, like the 20th, I forget the actual date, but it's before the weekend of Labor Day.
So if it's June 21st, I literally just announced that, we're gonna be tabling at the Juneteenth, and also, Carrie Seeley from the Department of Health invited all of us to table her, Father's Day event on June 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from 10 to 2 p.m. So head up to the tours and then come back, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a Father's Day event on June the 21st?
Well, they just probably,
Some type of wellness.
they probably just did it the following weekend.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we'll start June 21st and then every other, okay. So
June 21st, the 28th, and then every other after.
also we're, okay,
I don't
so
want, if
this,
we do the 21st, I don't wanna do the after, cause the 2 weeks after, because that's,
July 5th.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So if we
And then
do it,
July 12th,
yeah,
et cetera.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, are we all in agreement, yay? Okay.
An agreement not to do it tomorrow, but to like.
Yeah, all right.
We're gonna skip,
But this is my fault because I was supposed to bring it up,
no, that's fine, everyone.
in May
It's all
or
good,
in,
it's all good.
yeah, so that, but I really wanted to start it the beginning of June so that it could, because that's just a better time.
Yeah, but that's it.
We don't have to rush.
We're good. Yeah, we are grateful that, you brought it up and we are working, we're just looking for a solution, not obviously this weekend, but the following weekend. And we'll work on a
And
plan.
this summer, I'm sure I can make most of them. I've been traveling just 1 week this summer.
Okay.
Like last
Okay, so
summer.
we
I
can
was
continue
working.
talking about that in a minute. So that's it for us. Khalid, roll call.
Oh, sorry, Victoria Gilbert does have their hand raised. Do you want to acknowledge the question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, who?
Victoria Gilbert, this is a participant.
Yeah.
Victoria, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see it.
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. I just represent the Esplanade Friends Conservancy, and I'm wondering if you have any design plans in mind for that stretch beyond the funding.
But that's for Nick. Is Nick here?
For Nicholas, the Civitas, you mean?
Anybody, does Parks or Civitas or anybody, because we've had design plans for the pier at 107th Street for years, done by a award-winning architect.
107th is done. It's not 107.
Is it 107 to 117?
No, she means the stretch from 107 to 117.
Okay.
Like the gap.
So, yeah, right now it's just like getting funding. There is no like design or anything like that. It's just like at the beginning.
Okay, but I want you guys to know that there are design plans already made that we've worked on for years. If you would like to see them, we'd be happy to share them.
Yes,
sure.
we would love to, and we'll connect you with Civitas also.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Okay, Khalid, we're ready for roll.
Nicholas just raised his hand. Nicholas, do you want to? Nicholas, you want to respond to that or something, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard the whole thing. I think the comment was that there's design plans from 107th to 117th Street. I know Friends of the Esplanade and Civitas and I think like there was a coalition of maybe like 10 other groups that did work on a design charrette for the entirety of that section. I'm not aware of any designs that are specific for 107th to 117th Street. And so if there are any, I'd love to see them too.
Right, once we get it, we'll also connect you with Victoria so we can have
discussion.
Yeah.
We'll put your email in the chat so Victoria can see it and send it to you.
Sure. Be happy to.
Victoria, you heard that?
I did hear that. It's disabled, so I can't put my email in, but you guys probably have it from the registration.
I just dropped mine in too. So
We will connect you, Victoria. Thank you so much to you both. And now we're good for roll call. Roll call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Rosa,
Present.
Connie,
Present.
Malik.
Khalid, I'm here, okay?
It's okay, all right. Wait, Russell left?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Oh, I
I
don't know.
didn't realize that, goodness. Michelle Wilshire, comment?
Present.
Okay. So
Just like he ain't, just like.
Like a magic trick.
On,
Okay, meeting is adjourned at 8:48.
on Tuesday, he didn't realize I was here. He was like, "Oh, Malik, you here?" I'm sitting right in front of him.
Wait, the recording, let the rest of the recording stop.
Everybody have a good night.
Good night, thank you.